At this point, you should have 10 or more shapes. Some of them should be organic, made with the lasso tool, and some of them should be geometric, made with the polygon lasso tool. If you have a layer that you don't like, or a shape you don't like let's say I didn't like this large shape on layer 9, I can right-click in the layer, and I can delete the layer and say, okay. If you make a mistake, I like that shape, I can always say edit, undo, delete layer, or edit, Control Z. So now I've got a lot of shapes to look at. So if I want to go through and click the eye next to each one, I'm hiding it. So I'm only looking at a couple layers at a time. Now notice, right now, if I want to do something to the red shape, I have to be on layer number 1. Do you see that? And it has to be visible. Likewise, if I want to do something to the background, like let's say I wanted to go in and change my background color, I could do that. I'm still clicked on the pattern. And if I don't want that, I can say edit, undo. I did like the blue. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do some things to your shapes right now. So the first thing I want to do is I want to move the red shape. So if I click over here on the move tool, I can move it to a different location. Okay, I can make the red shape larger. Okay, I'm going to duplicate it so I have another one because I'm a fan of red. Okay, I can make it smaller. Okay, if I click on the side and move it over, I can flip it over, but I can change it any way I want. If I wanted to rotate it, if I hover at the corner, I can rotate it, okay? Now, I can't do anything else until I say if this move is okay. So if you're agreeing to the move, you're committing to it, you hit the green arrow. If you don't like it, you hit the red arrow, or the red circle, and then you do it again. So I'm happy with those. Now I'm going to move this guy. I really like this guy. I'm going to duplicate him as well, only now I want him under the red shape. So if you look here, I've really got 2 of these, okay? But if I wanted this one smaller, okay, and let's say I wanted this one under, oh, I've got to agree to the move. If I wanted this one underneath the other red shape, I could move this one lower. So you can click and drag to change the arrangement of your layers. Whatever layer you're working on, you have to be on that layer. So if you want to work on the red shape, you got to be on this layer. Another thing you can do that's sort of neat, I'm going to bring this black shape back, is you can make things transparent. So if you look right here, I sort of like the look of this, but let's say, I'm all about symmetry. I sort of like to have colors like 2 of each or 3 of each found in different spots. Let's say that I wanted this one up here to be transparent. At the top, you have the opacity. So at the top of your layer palette, you can change this slider so that it's more transparent or more opaque. So if you look, now you can see through that. Okay, so basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to each layer, and I can duplicate them, I can delete them, I can add layers. You can change the color of layers, okay? So let's say I decided, you know what, I don't want this to be white. I want it to be purple. If I wanted it to be purple, I could take my paint bucket and I could fill it in, oops, Control Z. I have to make sure I'm in the right layer. So if I want this shape, I have to be on layer 4, and I could use my paint bucket. What's going to happen though, a lot of times, is you may be on the wrong layer. So let's say I clicked over here and something like this happens. Just Control Z, and then just check where you need to be working. So if I'm working with this layer, I need to be clicked on this layer. So as you work, you're just going to be creative. You can flip things around, you can change the transparency, you can rotate, you can duplicate. You can even play around with filters, which we did in our last project. So if you liked using filters and you wanted to add filters to certain shapes, you could always do that, and that would be really fun. You can add effects. There's so many different things you can do, but it's up to you today to really take, I mean, you've already made the shapes. It's up to you to take what you have and add some creativity and originality to it. When you are done with your composition, And I'm not done with mine, but let's just pretend I am. When you are done, you'll want to say File, Save, and just save it normally. And then you're going to need to save it in a simpler version so it can upload. Because right now, it's got all these layers. What I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to say File, Save As, and instead of having it as a Photoshop document, I'm going to change the format so it's a JPEG. So I'm going to drop down to the top JPEG. It is the 6th format on the list. Let me double check that. Yep. And then I'm going to say Save, and then I have to say OK. So now this is in a simpler version. So when I look at this, it's still the Photoshop. But if I was to look at, if I open up the JPEG version from here, okay, notice if I open up the JPEG, it is just one layer and everything's combined, and that takes a lot of memory, or a lot less memory. And when you upload it, that way everyone can see it. So today, have fun rearranging, flipping, making some of your layers transparent, changing the size. Everything is in the step 3 Photoshop handout. Make sure to download that to your desktop if you don't have the paper copy, and use that as sort of your guide as you work through this. 2 more quick things, troubleshooting things, as I go back to the regular. Okay, here are a couple common mistakes, all right? Don't forget, when you're done moving, you have to say yes, or it won't let you do anything else, yes or no. You have to commit to it. Also, another thing that you may want to do is sometimes you have the crawling ants and you need to get rid of them. If you don't want the crawling ants and you've got the crawling ants in your picture, just say select, and then you can go down to deselect, and that will get you off the layer. All right, have a good day, and I can't wait to see your projects.